Hello, listeners. It's Seamus here. We hope you're enjoying the. Hello, listeners. It's Seamus. Hello, listeners. It's Seamus here. We hope you're enjoying. Hello, everybody. I'm Seamus.
And I'm Barry.
And welcome to the Design and Podcast.
We're going to be talking about UI and UX design, graphic design, branding, career tips, and the business of design. Enjoy!
Is he coming in? Is he there? He's connecting. Oh, hello. We're in. We're in. Welcome to the Design and Podcast with me. James,
Barry. Yeah,
Barry Woodhull. Yeah. Insert name here. Idiot.
What?
That is
just so you know, I've done no homework for this.
That's right. We met Ken Garland. Do you remember?
I remember Ken. Yeah.
How long ago was that? 10 years ago? 2012?
Something like that, yeah. Was it 10 years ago? 9 years ago?
Yeah.
Yeah.
9 years ago.
Yeah, he was so inspirational, wasn't he? Like, I mean, I was just delighted that we actually managed to get him to come to Chester University. Like he had time for us.
Yeah. He's probably the top 3 most inspirational people I've met. He was great.
Yeah, it was just great because obviously he was so experienced and he'd been through different types of the industry over the years. It was just great to hear how the industry had evolved from beginning to end, essentially.
Yeah. Yeah, because he started out in the 60s, really, is when he started Ken Garland Associates, and then sort of closed that and turned into a photographer, and then he passed away last year, but probably one of the greats.
That was so sad.
One of the greats, for sure.
Yeah. I mean, we even got invited around to his house.
Yeah, I did that twice. We were drawing.
Did you go twice?
Yeah, we had a great chat with him. He showed us his photography. Me and him had a really good conversation about Northern Ireland and him being a photographer during the Troubles and how some of the photographs that he got.
Yeah, his house is crazy. Yeah, and his wife as well is a very talented painter.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you know he's so humble he was so humble that as you walk around his house, it's her work that's on all the walls.
That's right. Yeah, he was painfully humble, probably is the best way to do it, but not when it came to his photography. He was quite uptight. Uptight's not the right word. He's quite defensive about his photography and what people thought of it, and to give his opinion, he would defend it. But
did you go around? Did you go around there and try and trash his photography?
No.
Is that what you're saying?
Well, I was like, why has these photographs got no colour in them?
Were you saying things like, "Oh, you'd never get this onto Shutterstock"?
Where's the meeting room of people? I don't get it. Why is there so much green? Why is it so fuzzy? It's like it's analog photography, and I was like,
did he still have the ancient iMac, even more ancient than my iMac, in the corner of the room?
I think he did. I actually can't remember.
So every now and then he'd hire a contractor to come around and just operate the iMac.
Turn on here.
Bless him.
Yeah. But do you have any standout things that he sort of inspired us with? Anything during his talk? I've got 2 points. One of these,
I think you should go ahead. I think it had a real profound kind of. It was a real profound experience for you because you've talked about it quite a few times. So I think you should talk us through what you took away.
Well, there was one very minor point which has sort of stood out to me, which he talked about, which is logo. I'm paraphrasing, but logos should be played with. This idea of a corporate identity logo is that you can't mess with it, you can't touch it, and you can't do any visual styling to it. He says you have to play with these things, and you have to be able to give it different filters and textures and draw it, photocopy it, mess it up, do whatever you need to a logo. As long as the logo is on the top left of a website, as it should be, it doesn't matter what else you do with it. Or as long as it's on the top of a letterhead or on a business card, officially you can play with it and do whatever you need, and you shouldn't be as rigid around how you adapt and use your logo.
Okay.
Do you remember that one?
So he's kind of encouraging us to be playful with our work.
Yeah.
And to adapt the medium.
Yeah. Give it movement, because logos do get changed every 10 years, every 5 to 10 years.
And well, they transform with time, right?
Yeah. It will depend. Yeah. And he's sort of saying that within that 5 to 10 years, you have 5 to 10 years of trends, and you can adapt that logo to fit into those trends that's happening that year. So if Coca-Cola could take their logo and make it chrome, which is fitting into a trend we're currently sitting on, I think they're all quite interesting. I thought that was a really good point. Is just don't be so rigid.
Definitely. What was the second thing that came to mind for you?
This is the big point. I think he made quite a strong argument about this as well. Is whatever work you did and whatever work you created while studying at university, you'll see that as a common thread throughout your career.
Okay.
So I was wondering, do you have anything that you can see a pattern of throughout your career that you would have started at or would have touched on while creating things in university?
I suppose, yeah. On our course, which was graphic design, I think for every project, there was always a tendency to lean towards a digital element in whatever project that I worked on. And yeah, that followed suit in the career that came after university and my interest there and what I went on to specialize in. I didn't know it at the time. That's what was great about our course. It was so broad that you touched on so many different parts of the industry without knowing really. It's only on reflection that you can spot the patterns and see what the tutors were actually doing. But yeah, there's been a trend of working on digital projects. But if you were to ask me whilst I was at university, where do you see yourself working? Then I think the answer probably would have been in some big advertising agency, blue sky thinking. That's where I wanted to actually go whilst at university. But I naturally fell into this path of working on digital projects, UX, UI, product design, product startups. And yeah, it's where I'm suited. What about you?
Is there anything that you would say to your 21-year-old self if you had a chance to?
I would emphasize more on how important your network is. Knowing what I know now, make as many friends as you can at university, befriend the tutors. These people stick around. They go on into new jobs. They find their own companies. That network is so valuable. I would maybe even argue that the network that you create on these courses is the most valuable thing. Agreed.
It's certainly if you're sitting down with a client and they says, "Oh, we want to create a video," and they say, "Have you got videoing and production experience?" You'd be like, "No, but I know 3 people who can do that job for us and get it through your network." Yeah, it's very, very incredibly important and recommending people for other jobs when you get nothing out of it. Like, I can't do that, but I know this guy called Troy who can do that for you. Just hit him up and tell him I sent you his direction.
Okay. Yeah, definitely. Yeah. And just referrals, passing people, back and forth. You've sent me business. I've tried to send you business. So there's definitely value there.
That's right. I sent you $100,000 project and you sent me £100 project.
That's how this relationship works.
That's how that I do.
Yeah. So what about you? Has there been any trends that you've spotted on reflection of what happened at university with you during your study time?
Probably not visually. I can't pick out a couple of things that I can see have visually made its way through anything that I've created at the minute, but that's because I didn't have any technical ability. I didn't know how to use a computer really, to the extent I do now. And the ideas I was all over the place, and I wasn't sure if I wanted to work in advertising or graphic design or in brand identity. So I just didn't have that sort of level of, I don't know what I'm going to do, and hasn't. But what has is probably resilience. This idea of worrying about what your grades are or what everyone around you thinks of you, rather than rather than just thinking I'm only as good as the thing I'm currently working on or the thing I've just currently done. And that's what I want to focus on, is that idea of not caring and letting go and worrying about the work. And no matter how bad things get, you can keep pushing forward.
Yeah, absolutely. Setting benchmarks within yourself, having resilience, having grit to keep on moving through the industry, keep on moving through projects, and knowing that a better outcome will always be a bit, just around the corner. So is that the advice you'd give to a 20-year-old student at the moment going through the course, just to persevere?
Oh, yeah. That would be my main point, is to persevere, have resilience. And it doesn't matter how bad you are, it's only going to get better. And no matter how bad you think you are compared to everyone else, it doesn't matter, because you're only as good as you were last week, or you're only as good as you were a month ago. So you just worry about yourself and your own abilities and how you push forward, and just don't let feedback or being fired or failing an exam hold you back.
Yeah, I mean, the grades don't mean much, to be honest with you. I thinking back, I think for my first year at university, I got a really low grade. It was like I barely scraped through at like 42% or something ridiculous like that. But by third year, I graduated with first class honors, and that's because the course got better throughout the years, and I was more interested. And so, that's a good example of persevering, I suppose. In the first year, there might be modules that aren't suited to you, and that you're not interested in, but, don't let the grades bring you down to the level of those grades, and look at the future modules, look at what the big picture is and what's to come after graduating. And a lot of the time, getting that degree or that qualification is having your foot in the door with another company, another agency.
Yeah,
leading on to bigger things.
Your degree is only going to get you your next job. It's not going to get you your second job. But I figured out the trick is to get a job before you get your results and after you finish your last handover, because then no one knows what you got.
Straight out. That happened to me.
Did it? Yeah. I got it first. Yeah. What? Don't your results come out in November? No.
I was in the office, like receiving my result.
I still haven't gotten my results. I never looked. I still don't know what I got.
Lies. Really?
Promise. I have no idea what I got for my degree. No. I just got invited to graduation and went, well, I passed.
So wait, what does it say on LinkedIn then? Like you've not put your result?
No, I just said I studied there.
Design charity worker.
So Ken Garland in 1963 created the First Things First manifesto, which essentially, if you put yourself in,
was that like a manifesto of how to start your day or something?
No, it was a manifesto on you don't have to work in advertising. There is this whole other world called brand identity design or poster design, or if you want to design a shop window, you can do it. So that was quite revolutionary then. Back in the 60s, it would have been, because they didn't have websites back then.
1860s? Oh, 1960s.
1960s, okay. 1860s. Yes, Ken Garland was a vampire. Only lasted. I think he was 100 when he wrote the manifesto, and he came to see us when he was 148. But that idea of you don't have to work in advertising and create a layout that has an image, a hero text, and then a whole bunch of body copy. You can go into creating logos, and you can go into creating posters, or you're not as fixed as you think you are. Which is quite an amazing thing if you think about it. So really, it's more of a manifesto on focus on application design. Worry about how you apply a brand identity system to a thing, and that thing could be a website. Or that thing could be a book or a poster.
Yeah.
Which is obvious to all of us currently.
Yeah, nowadays.
No, it's last things last.
Yeah.
But he has created...
So did he... Oh, wait, I think you're about to answer what I was about to ask you. Well, did he update it?
He had an edition, which I went to one of his talks he did, called Last Things Last, which essentially is saying that the manifesto he created in 1963 could have been seen as quite harsh from a client's point of view. We are the designer and you're the client, and you're over there and we sit over here, and you're the bureaucracy and we're the creatives. So leave us alone and let us do our thing. But last is saying that it's a partnership and it's a relationship between the two parties, and how they build that trust and build that relationship between them so they can better understand their customers. Which I think is incredible, because I think when you're doing a brand identity system, I don't have the answers. It's the client has the answers, but they don't know that.
It's pretty interesting that his mindset changed over the years. Maybe back when he created the first manifesto, the power distribution was very different. Like, designers back then were just barked at, do this, we're the business, we know best. But over the decades, it has turned into a partnership, and business owners and founders have realized how much value an engaged designer can add to the actual business idea, and increasing revenue and optimizing and all sorts of things.
And even for yourself, like Mr. Bingo wouldn't succeed probably as well as he is at the minute if it was the 60s, because he has created his own voice, and he's created his own platform for getting that voice out there, which didn't exist. And he trusts himself when he creates.
And that came along with platforms that allow exposure, such as Twitter and Instagram as well, right?
Yeah. God, do you feel old saying these things?
I felt old for a long time.
So Ken Garland came to see us in 2012. Still has quite a big impact on me in 2021. With a couple of things that he said. One of the
was that the last design talk you went to?
Yes, exactly. So it's good. I think he's top 3 most influential people for me in the design world.
Amazing. Hi everyone, I'm Barry, the owner of the digital design agency Moken.Digital. We team up with startups, agencies and founders to design digital products and websites. If you're interested in learning more about the work we do at Moken, you can visit our website at www.moken.digital, and you can also check out our Instagram at @wearemoken.
I feel like there is 2 different types of designers. One type is, or you can split them into 2, a generalist and a specialist. What do you think? Do you agree with that?
Yeah.
Great. Any other crack?
Just leave it at that. I think you're right. And to me, I might be wrong. When I see somebody's CV or portfolio and it says graphic designer, generalist comes to mind. Would you agree?
Yeah. Actually, I would agree. And within the last 15 years, that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, because most of the time they can do UI, UX, prototyping, bit of branding. Need a logo? Yeah, I can do that as well. Need a poster? Sure.
That's it. Are you a generalist or a specialist? What do you think?
I'd say specialist. Yeah, like you wouldn't catch me designing a poster or doing branding or anything like that, really.
Doing a podcast or...
Yeah. Well, that's not design related. But
you heard it here first, folks. The design on podcast is not design related.
Is this not politics? The politics podcast?
So you would see yourself as a specialist. What type of specialist?
User experience design, interface design, product design, app design, that realm. Yeah.
I think about you. I would see myself as a generalist, and always have. I'm ignoring the technical ability that I have on a computer. I try to see myself as an 80%er at quite a few things, or a couple of things. I couldn't create an amazing technical pack which needs to go to a factory to create a collection for a fashion brand, but I could create a kick-ass range and it'll look really cool, and I can give that give out to somebody
and
to finish it.
you could include an advertising campaign to go along with that as well.
Then I could do an advertising campaign. I couldn't design or work on Uber's app, but I could create a kick-ass website.
And then coming back to what we were talking about earlier at university, you kind of started the course with more of a traditional mindset and a traditional skill set, didn't you? So almost as though like you're, I don't know, like a draftsman almost. Like you had really insane like drawing and illustration skills, and that was your kind of specialty, I suppose. Did it benefit or hinder you in any way?
It did hinder me once I graduated, but it didn't hinder me while I was studying, because I knew I would spend the next 40 years on a computer behind a screen working. So I just thought I've got 3 years here to focus on the crafts of graphic design and trust the tutors and what they ask for, and try to get away with as much work as possible that doesn't need a computer. That's really all I thought at the time, but I don't think I would change that if I was going to go back today.
Yeah.
Because all these skills I've picked up quite quickly, technical skills.
Yeah, of course, yeah. Because at the end of the day, it's just learning a piece of software, or and you can do that. It's more about the design thinking.
The design thinking and trying to figure out the differentiation between something that's ugly on one side of the scale, something's ugly and confusing and frustrating, and the other side of the scale is something delightful and fresh and exciting. Thought that's sort of what it taught me, is like look at what's available and what's annoying and how can you make it better. Okay, well I can't do that. I can't get on Photoshop and do that, so I'm going to have to draw it, or I'm going to have to figure out a way of doing it using some sort of print technique. Quite interesting.
Okay,
so that makes sense. That is blabbering that. I think I didn't make any sense.
I'm sure it'll make sense to somebody.
But yeah, I would see myself as an 80%er on quite a few things, but not a lot of things.
And I think most people go into, particularly graphic design courses, as generalists, right? Because I think there's more exposure and knowledge around all the other types of design that you can get into nowadays. So if you're going on a course to do graphic design, I think they expect to touch on different media.
Yeah, like you're going to struggle. You're going to have a tough time if you did a graphic design course, or even if you did a button design course and all you did was design buttons or UI buttons, then you came out to university and all you can do is design UI buttons. You're great for that job, but what happens when everything goes VR and no one uses websites anymore? You're screwed when it comes to your job, and you haven't got the graphic design background to fall back on.
Yeah, can you imagine having a degree in just buttons?
That'd be brilliant.
I design a kick-ass CTA.
I've got a master's in button design. I can make a button in English and in German.
You know what's going to happen? Someone's going to email us saying, "Hey, I've got that.
I'm a button designer." It's like,
I'm a button designer.
Great. What did you study? Was it graphic design? Yes.
Did I show you a photo of my new keyboard?
Oh, you did. It looks great. What have you got?
It's just a nuffy keyboard, but I'm just amazed by it. It just lights up. It's so retro, beautiful colors.
And does it have what size is it? Does it have a whole bunch of numbers on the right hand side, or is it a smaller keyboard?
It's a bit. Is it called the Magic keyboard? The iMac one. Anyway, the Apple keyboard. It's much longer, to be honest with you. And I'm sending typos left, right, and center at the moment until I get used to the new spacing.
I think that FM button on the top left really screws me when I was freelancing and I was going to a company and I was trying to hit my shortcuts and I kept missing it because the FM button wasn't there and everything else was knocked over. But yeah, I love working on keyboard or laptop keyboards. That size of ones that are nice and small, compact.
Oh, do you know what I did?
What'd you do?
I got the team Oculus Quests.
You got everyone on Oculus like to share, or one each?
One each.
Oh, well done.
Yeah, so we're going to have our first virtual reality team meeting on Monday.
Oh my God, can I join in? I haven't got one.
Oh yeah. Oh, you should get one. You can join. But yeah, so let's see how that goes.
That'll be great fun.
Yeah, it'll be great. And because we're a remote team, it's going to be great just for hanging out. maybe Friday after work, play some table tennis, or lunchtime table tennis, games like that.
Oh, I can't wait to, can you report back on that next week when you're, so you get
definitely.
an idea how it works? Because you guys are a remote team and always have been a remote team. So it's interesting to see how that brings you together.
I think the first meeting is probably going to be a disaster. I'm not going to lie.
Yeah, it's going to be awkward. Who are you?
Why have you got a parrot on your shoulder?
I think you've got a Spider-Man's outfit on.
Mm-hmm.
You should rock up in a suit with no trousers on. Oh my God, I thought we were going on Zoom.
Nothing different there. Seamus, I've got a joke.
Hit me.
Why do UX designers like forks?
I don't know, Barry. Why do UX designers like forks?
They're great stakeholders.
Oh, I'm walking. I'm out. This is shit. God, so is it when you have a kid, you just automatically just relate to the dad jokes?
I've just always had shit jokes, Seamus. I'm not going to lie.
I can't say something, but I just accepted you the way you were. Shit crack. Shit crack, Barry.
So I think I'm recording.
That is back. We rolling? I can hear you. You can hear me. Boom. And recording in progress. We're all linked up. I'm all set up. Baby, I'm ready to go on the web and the thing. For all you listener out there, singular, get down on it. Get down on it. Get down on it. Down on it. You're not even recording. You didn't get any of that. Oh yeah, go for it. So lamp for three